Robert.
Hey.
Yes, Robert.
What's up,
Robert.
What's up? Yo.
Robert's got the guns out.
Bow, bow, Duka, baby.
That's the Dharma Destroyer.
That's
the
it.
Dharma
That's it.
Destroyer guns.
Machine guns, bro. We gunning it down. We gunning down the Duka.
Such violent imagery.
Kill it. Brr.
Robert, have you added more pictures?
No.
Is that possible?
I actually added a whole bunch more. I'm gonna see if I can rotate it and show you.
Oh man.
You can get the ceiling. I think that's the next step.
Yeah, that would be sick. That would be sick.
I think there's a little bit of white space. That you can cover.
I actually tried to put some stuff on the ceiling, but it didn't work. Because it wouldn't stick. Because the texture of the ceiling is kind of like pointy.
Yeah.
It's like
Then we must change the texture of the ceiling.
exactly.
That's right. You could wallpaper above and then add things to the wallpaper. See, you know, modern problems require modern solutions.
Exactly. Innovation. Improvise, adapt, overcome.
We've been told in our new accommodation, if we want to mount things to the walls, we must use adhesive. We're disallowed from using any screws, nails, even tacks. So this is about to get interesting. Robert, what's your method?
Blue tack. Blue tack.
Blue tack.
Adhesive, yeah.
Old faithful blue tack.
Old faithful. Sometimes white tack. White tack's better because if you don't pick it off the wall afterwards, no one can really tell.
White tack. I didn't even know such a thing existed.
It's a real thing. It doesn't stay white for long, but it is when you get it out of the box.
White tack.
And then what color does it change? It changes blue or just like a gray color?
Yeah,
or like
filth is on your wall.
Or the oil from your fingers color?
I didn't know that was even a thing. Like, yeah, just like gray usually. Like spotted with bits of crap like dust and stuff.
Welcome, Rulez.
Welcome, Rulez.
Hey guys, how are you?
All good here.
Very carefully. What you
Good to
guys
see
were
you
talking
again.
about? Good to see you
We're
too.
talking about mounting pictures.
Mounting. ... Pictures.
What else can be mounted? Discuss.
Camels. Horses.
Painting.
T-Rexes. Carefully.
You know Rick's flavor?
There's not a lot of camels in Canada, so
You'll have to make do with a moose, Rick.
Those animals are dangerous.
Right? Mooses are really aggressive, right?
Wow.
Is mooses the plural? It's probably moose, isn't it? Moose
It
is
is.
probably the moose, yeah.
Apostrophe.
I'm imagining a very like Canadian version of the ox herding sort of paintings, except for instead of an ox, it's a moose.
It sounds like a bumper sticker, David.
Yeah.
That's like a T-shirt idea you need to go ahead and capitalize on.
Yeah.
The moose herding, the moose herding pictures. The moose
guy.
The moose mounting pictures. Wait, that's a different bumper sticker. I got jokes today.
Yeah, man.
When do you not have jokes, Rick?
No.
I've never known you to not have jokes. Realize, did you have any movement on your pet issue?
No, not yet. I'm focusing right now on finding another job.
Okay.
So I really haven't had time to answer her back and tell her like, okay, let's meet and talk about it. But I've made pieces inside, like I'm doing this because of my kitty, not because like I do love her, but she needs to be well cared, taken care of. I don't know how to say it. So
well
cared.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm waiting.
Sounds good to me.
I feel peaceful, really peaceful lately.
And that is the most important thing.
Mental health is number one, guys. Everything depends on mental health.
Yay for peaceful. You said you're looking for more work, Rulaz.
For another job, like I'm gonna quit this job right now, so I can find a new one, so I can be independent, like living my own, no
Great.
mother, no, like just me and my cat.
Poor mother will be lonely.
Yeah, but I'm planning to move close by. So
okay, perfect.
Last time I moved out, I noticed our relationship got stronger and way better than when we lived together. Together, it's like she's a really conflicting person, so that's why I'm most of the time in my room. Because if I go out, it's like it starts bombing everywhere. Like, why is this here? Okay, I'm going back to my room. See you, man.
She needs the Dhamma from you, Rulaz.
Yeah, but I noticed that when I'm calm, I'm able to splash this calm into my close ones. Like we were talking, my mom and my sister, and well, like really, when we're the three of us are together, wow, things are tense, intense, and well, last time it wasn't, or at least I wasn't. So I was like, yeah, I'm practicing with my Dhamma friends. We call ourselves the Dhamma dudes, and well, the practice is quite easy. Like it's okay, this is enough. They both felt the calm. Like they both felt calm when I told them like, and it's okay, this is enough. And well, they both went to that moment, and I think it was really awesome.
Well, if it happens once, it can happen again and again and again, right? So it's that positive pattern can already be established, right? It's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I guys ever told you. Like, I think only Joe and DJ were present when I told this, but a long time ago, about 10 years ago, I was ingressed into a hospital, put into a hospital, into a mental hospital, into a psychiatric. And well, I really never noticed I was such a important part of my family. Like right now, I can notice that people come to me. I think that's because of the Dhamma, because I practice and I feel calm and I'm able to see things unbiased. So right now, I feel like I'm a strong anchor of my family to keep us all together. Like I go like, oh, hey, let's do something because I want to see you guys, and we do something together, the whole family, and well, for my part, I'm really happy about it.
It's great. It's great. Dhammarato would be very pleased to hear that. He's always keen to hear about the Dhamma bringing us back to our families.
Yes, and I don't know, but here in Mexico, the families are not just the nuclear family, the one that sticks together, but it's like cousins, uncles, aunts, grandparents, uncle grandparents. I don't know how it's called, and like it's really a big community altogether, and it's really nice.
It's great. What kinds of things will you guys do together?
Well, we like to watch football, American football. Soccer is not. It's really not my thing. When there's American football, we come together. We make some barbecue, steaks. We also got wings, buffalo wings and stuff. And well, the last time we were eating, I don't know how it's called, marisco, crustaceans from the
crustaceans,
sea.
yeah, crabs.
Yeah, all from the sea because of the Jesus Christ and everything. My friend was really Catholic, so the thing started going like really, really weird because my sister was like, "I don't believe in the theory of evolution." And all my cousins are like, "Wow, but what do you believe?" And I'm like, "Wow, like yeah, she said something controversial, but well, you don't need to believe in anything." So it was really cool. Like, I like the turn my life is taking right now. It's going from here and there.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And what plans do you have for a new job? What kind of things are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking to still be a 3D artist, a video game artist. But here in Mexico, the pay is it's really low, like really low, like 1/8 of the world. So I can really live on my own. So I do have expectations from salary and wishes and well all of that stuff that can lead me to places, but well, that's what I really want to actually live my life in. I don't know how to say it, like in loneliness, in with myself, and
solitude.
Experience, yeah, with solitude. Experience it with myself.
Do you think that you could get remote work and get paid USD? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, that's what you need. You got a portfolio?
Yeah, I started sending it. Already got 2 answers. They were like,
amazing.
We're not interested, but it's okay.
Yeah, but the amount of different work that's out there once you're selling yourself to the world, so many opportunities, right? You'll find work in USD. Yeah. And then you can be living it up in Mexico City, man.
Yeah. And eventually I want to leave Mexico, at least for, I don't know, for a while or permanently. I really don't know. But I want to go to Canada or Europe. Like I want to meet places. Yeah.
You guys got a visitor.
Yeah. And travel around. If it's not living, travel around and go and meet friends around the world.
Yeah. Great. Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah. It's scary to plan things like okay, like this will I get Duca from this? And then it's like, okay, there's Duca near there. Let's go. Let's do it.
You know exactly what to do.
Yeah. So yeah.
So there is a subtle art in making a plan in the present and not being drawn into the dukkha kind of futuring. Right? But I mean, we have to make plans at some point, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to piss ourselves. We got to get to the bathroom.
Yeah. Or at least until I'm a monk and I'm sitting on the Alps, just chilling.
Have you considered ordaining?
Yeah, I do. Like a lot of times I've been like, oh, yeah, that would be cool. And right now I'm really not thinking about it.
Yeah. Have you hung out in a monastery at all?
No, never.
Okay. That'd be the first step, right? Go and hang out for a while.
Yes, go.
Which
go
I know
see
some
firsthand.
Yeah. Which I know some of the Sangha have been doing, right? I think Kishon posted recently that he'd been hanging out at a what? Yeah, am I remembering correctly? But I know that a few of us have gone and hung out quite casually, right? So if my memory serves, there's obviously the possibility of doing a retreat, but that's a retreat. That's in a retreat center where there's loads of guests. I think that's probably quite a different thing to just turning up and saying, hey, Dhamma dude here. Can I chill for a few nights and see what you guys are up to? Anything I can help with? That'd be the way to go, right?
Yeah. Here, there's only, I found 3 places of, they're more Buddhist, more like Dharma. It's Tibetan and one that's called Golden Path, I believe.
Golden Path.
Stuff like that.
That sounds like
it's really fancy. Like wow. I went to
fancy. How the paths actually
Tug, and I was like, wow, this is like there's a lot of people here, but they all like I don't know how to say it, like grown-ups that like two privileged folks that I don't know. I work with one of those guys, and well, he stopped paying me. I delivered the job and he never paid me. I was like, okay, I'm not judging the entire movement, but it sucks.
Well, maybe that's it. They just keep the gold, so it's their, on their own path.
Very, very. Yeah, and the other one is Tibetan, which I find it's kind of tantric, like a lot of more mystic and a lot. So I started my practice with that, with Tongan, I think, where I take all the bad energy within in myself and I pull out all my good energy and gift it to the world over. Like, I'll take it. It's okay. Like, I can take it because I can purify myself. It's okay. And I love that practice. And I read about Dzogchen.
Yep.
Read about what? Sorry.
Dzogchen. I don't know how it's
Dzogchen.
Yeah.
And Rigpa, which I really love Rigpa. Like, it's like, wow.
Dzogchen would be the part of Tibetan Buddhism which is most similar to what we call the supramundane Dhamma.
Okay.
No bullshit. No frills. No fancy stuff.
No frills, which is the name of a grocery store chain over here. No kidding.
Yeah, and
yeah, I think a good test, I suppose, of any monastery that you might end up at is what kind of religious practices are you going to have to take up if you decide you want to live there.
Yes.
And is the game worth the candle?
Goodbye, Doug.
Oh, okay, Doug. Yeah, maybe try again later, brother. Yeah, that would certainly be my concern if I was going to go and ordain. I would be looking at, okay, what kind of formal stuff is going on here? And can I opt out?
Yes. Well, like I told you, I was on a psychiatric hospital. Then I was into a rehab clinic because, well, I got a psychosis. It was because of drugs and alcohol and all of that. And so I was introduced to AA, NA, and all of that stuff. I opt to pull out because of the religious stuff that was in there.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like really dogmatic, like, okay, you need to pray. And I'm like, okay, but I think I need to pray.
To who?
Yeah, to God of your choice. And it's like, but we're not going to tell you who to pray. But it has to be a God. Okay, but okay. So I really opt out. And I went like, I opt out. And I was like, okay, but I just can't stay here. Like, hey, Alex. I went with Dhammarato. I found Dhammarato with it's multiple choice. So I went
one or more or less.
I found the group biking. I chat with Daniel Ingram and Dhammarato. And well, I was like, okay, I don't know how, but I chose to watch Dhammarato videos. So I started there. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call. And I called. I was entirely nervous. I was like, okay, what's he gonna say? Like, okay, I'm just gonna chill. Like, he's okay. Like, okay. And the first session, like the first talk we had, man, I was already like, wow, like wow, amazing, like amazing.
He's good like that.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Yeah, I remember I had some skepticism before I first called Dhammarato. It was a friend named Noah on the Stream Entry Reddit posted out that Dhammarato had some space, and I said, "Oh, I don't know if I can handle the Buddhist thing. I don't know if I can be reading scriptures and doing prostrations and all that." And Noah said, "No." He said, "It's like talking to your granddad." I said, "Okay, sign me up."
weird the concept, because I really had a concept before of what Buddhism was. Like, oh my god, like they really go and live into a forest and you're there all the time. Like that's what Buddhism is.
That's your only flavor, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like, wow, it's not. I mean, it's awesome. Because I was like, I thought I was gonna be a lone practitioner, because well, I didn't want to go to live in a forest, not yet. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna practice the best I can. Then Dhammarato was like, okay, you need to forget everything you've read. I'm like, okay, okay.
Done.
Well, yeah, like it was like, okay, yeah, I can do it. It wasn't even that great, so let's go. So, yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, like literally. Living life.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Delightful. Alex, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
How's everybody?
Yeah, Alex.
Chill.
Everybody's smiling. Now, you were trying to get a hold of me earlier today. Is there still something you want to talk about?
There is, but it's can't do it.
Okay. We'll do it later.
For sure.
Anything else you want to share?
I don't know, man. I'm so thankful for the Dhamma. It's just nuts, man. I feel like there's just like an engine of peace living inside of me. It's like, I wake up in the morning and there's dukkha, and it's like the dukkha itself is peace. It's like I don't even know anymore. It's like things just like evaporate.
They sure do. And they always did, actually. Right? You can't do nothing about it. Just try hanging on to that dukkha.
Right.
Well, don't, but...
Well, that's what it is, right? Like, if you are hanging on to it, then you're hanging on to it. And then, like, the hanging on to it is more unwholesome than, like, not even making an attempt to do anything about it, to control it, to suppress it, to get rid of it. What's more wholesome is just seeing it and regarding it with, I don't know, it has such little significance.
It sure do.
Even the really significant dukkha has such little significance. It's so strange, and I never saw it this way before. It never was like this. I remember very well where I would wake up or experience something heavy, or at least that I would call heavy, because now there's still the tendency to call it heavy, but there's nothing really heavy. There might be some things that are heavier than others, but even that isn't heavy. Is
right.
Like the whole relationship.
That's called fruit. That's the fruit of your good practice.
Oh, I thought you said that's truth.
Oh,
that's
no,
fruit. Yeah.
Fruit. Nom 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 nom.
Nom 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 nom.
Juicy fruit. A big fat Dhamma watermelon.
Some fruit is heavier than others.
There you go. But it's still fruit.
It's still fruit. Grapes, watermelons, bananas. Why not?
So yeah, you practiced to make that dukkha light, to make that dukkha insignificant. And now you get to enjoy freedom.
Yeah. So I guess that brings up a question. Was it always insignificant, or is it learning to see it as insignificant? Or are those two the same?
It's precisely as significant as you make it.
Yeah. As you make it. Yeah.
Because we're generating the meaning anyway. We're the ones generating the meaning. So there's no external. We attribute all of it, right? We can't look at this event or object or whatever. Say, oh, it's coming from that. We know that's not true. We know it's not true. But we trick ourselves in the moment. Say, oh, no, it's coming from the external world. But no, none of that's true.
While I can trace back and see that it's the piece that I'm experiencing is a direct correlation of the effort that I've put in, I can also see that, I don't know if you've had this, Dan, but it's also that it seems as though there is really nothing I'm doing to see these things as less significant.
That's again the fruit of practice. Once upon a time, it was very difficult for you to see things in this new way. It was something you read about somewhere and it seemed abstract and mystical. Now you've practiced. Just the same as someone practices a technique on a musical instrument and it seems difficult at first. Later it becomes easy. The same messages have to go from the brain to the parts of the body in the case of the musician. You're looking in the same way now as you were when you first heard about that way of looking and it was new. Now it's easy.
And at one point in all of our lives, it was this easy, right? Until we started learning these other.
Well, that's an interesting one, right? Because I don't think youngsters are looking at their experience in the way that we mean.
Right.
We're talking about investigation.
Yeah.
We can look at the newborn baby and say, "Oh, isn't it peaceful? Isn't it wonderful?" Well, it's just not doing very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not when it's crying. No,
it's not what.
Oh, what a peaceful baby! Ah! Yeah, right. I said peaceful.
Yeah. It's a potato, and then it's an aggressive potato, and then it's back to being a potato again. And then we learn, of course, all the nasty stuff, all the baggage, and then we come to the Dhamma and we learn wisdom, and that's the full circle. We can then come back, in a sense, to that peaceful condition of the potato, but with the benefit of wisdom.
Okay.
We can learn how to stop doing so much.
Yes.
Hence, rendering ourselves potato.
Dan, are you hungry?
Now.
Wow, it really is like a full circle kind of thing, then, isn't it?
In a sense, in a way of illustrating it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want some wise chips.
You're talking about fruits and potatoes. I'm like, Dan's just getting ready for dinner.
I was gonna tell you guys, there's a saying here that you can't eat watermelon on the night because it's gonna be heavy for your stomach, but it's here in Mexico, so people are okay eating tacos and eating nasty big stuff, but if you eat watermelon, it's gonna be bad for you in the morning. So watch.
What?
Really?
Watermelon's like 90% water.
Yeah,
hence the name. It's right there.
It's really weird. I was like,
that is bizarre.
Here, try the spiced beef right before bed. Sure, why not? Don't eat that.
Good habanero sauce, like that's nice, but watermelon, no. Get that thing, or I'm gonna be sick. Okay, that thing's gonna make me sick.
I got a question while we're on the food topic. I had like this interesting thought, since we're finding like that science, like our guts are related to our brains more than ever so, because we see that our microbiomes are related to controlling how we feel, sad, happy, depressed, etc., etc. How does that play into like Dhamma? Because would you say like if a person is super healthy and he has like really good microbiome, has really good digestion, has really good like health, is it less dukkha? Does less dukkha appear to him?
Not necessarily less dukkha. Perhaps less nasty brain chemistry, right? But that brain chemistry leads to thoughts, and it's how we interpret those thoughts that's dukkha. Right?
The value we give to.
Yeah, but I guess if the state that person would be naturally in would be more wholesome state over most of the time, and then it's just be like small drops whenever he experiences like something that reminds him of his like childhood or whatever the trauma is, and then he dips down, and then maybe he has like a bit of dukkha, but then the chemicals regulate themselves back, and eventually he may be late. He maybe sits in dukkha for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for an hour, who knows, and then maybe he goes back. But a person who's not so healthy might be stuck in the rabbit hole for a bit longer, because the body is still functioning on habits of like consuming maybe like more toxic food, and then the hormones and everything prolongs the process of dukkha. I don't know. I just had this like thoughts. I was like, I was wondering how does like food really play into hindrances and actually like removing them? Can we be in a healthier body and remove them easier than, for example, somebody who's a bit more sick, more ill?
I'm looking at my resident neuropsychologist.
Well, yeah. Is it okay if I just go audio only?
Of course.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, actually. Yes, what Dan talked about, brain chemistry, definitely we see that protein is converted into tryptophan, which is taken up by serotonin, which makes us feel good. So if you have more protein, you're more likely to experience the high from serotonin, not really high, well, more positive emotions. But then again, there is something called toxicity, which is like when your brain is not getting enough of the good chemicals and your gut is not healthy, your brain is essentially having to allocate more energy into relieving your physical pain and getting rid of all of that toxic material, which is accumulated in your tummy or even in your bloodstream. So that way, yes, the energy expenditure is much more. So you'll probably have very little cognitive energy to actually think through any of this or even remember Dhamma for that matter. So yeah, it's very, very, very much related.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like almost like a blind screen, like slightly. You can still remember. It's not like it's not there. It's always there. But it definitely would feel difficult, because as I've experienced previously, I used to take like Xanax, and Xanax completely makes you numb. You have like no dukkha, no problems, nothing at all. So it made me wonder, like what happens if the body is actually in that state permanently, like just regulating its own hormones and making happy dopamine hormones, serotonin, etc., etc. How does that relate to Dhamma?
Yeah, it's definitely good to eat healthy, and the benefits, as we know now, are many and varied. I'm wondering now about that person who has had no exposure to Dhamma, is very, very healthy, and almost always in a wholesome state, but then say they lose a loved one, or they fall ill, or some other catastrophe happens, they lose their job, whatever. What then? Now then, the next question becomes, well, what if we do the Dhamma and eat a shit ton of yogurt?
Is that how yogurt comes in the UK? In shit tons.
In shit tons, yeah.
That's the official unit of measurement, because that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, we have a delivery truck back right up to our front door, and we
half a shit ton.
I need a half a shit ton today.
Yogurt, please.
No, it doesn't come in halves.
It's either
We're
all
serious
or
about our
none.
gut health here
Wow.
in the UK. Yeah.
But that was a very interesting question, Carl. Just another piece of information that I just recalled. Healthy eating and exercise are very much correlated with lesser chances of developing dementia. Well, now, it's not the only marker. You've got to have good socialization and a bunch of other factors, but it definitely helps. Yeah. So yeah, yay for health.
So bring on the yogurt, bring on the kimchi, bring on the pickled gherkins, the sauerkraut. Let's go.
We're gonna need one shit ton because it's gonna be all of us, and we're gonna need a lot. One or two.
One shit ton of all the fermented foods, please.
I'll take an eighth.
I have a.
But it also gets interesting if we look in the other direction, because considering the way that the monks have eaten over time, they're eating on charity, right? They don't have any choice over what they eat. And if poverty hits the village where the Wat is, then the monks don't have a lot of diversity in their food. So how are they dealing with that? So we see that, I suppose we could talk about a kind of hierarchy. Yes, influencing the chemistry is great, but if we know the Dhamma, we can deal with any chemistry. It's just chemistry.
Definitely, a compounded effect is going to be the way. It's going to be
for sure. If we can,
effective.
if we can do the health and the Dhamma, then
yeah. But I would argue, like what you said about monks getting food that's, not really up to their choice. I mean, they don't have a choice in what kind of food they get.
Yeah, they might not have a lot of diversity, right?
Yeah, that's true, but it would impact the quantity, right? We are talking about a time when there wasn't fried food, when there wasn't like Coke and energy drinks and sugar.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, so junk food was out of the question, right? But I'm talking about there would have been times for some Wats where they only had rice.
Yeah.
Right.
Most countries, even like if we trace back to, I don't know, to a considerable time, they would have a naturally balanced diet, a somewhat naturally balanced diet. They wouldn't maybe have a super healthy one, but a balanced one.
Yeah,
yes.
Without the crap. Yeah. Yeah, and so it might have been rice for a little while if there was a drought or something, but then it would have, I suppose, balanced out, and hopefully they would have had enough vitamins in their system to keep the general functioning going. And with a strong Dharma practice, we can weather that storm. Yeah. Nowadays, we have the luxury of having incredibly healthy diets and practicing the Dhamma and doing whatever kind of exercise we want. We're spoiled.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey,
What's up, Joe?
how's it going, everybody?
Rick.
Awesome. How about you?
Great. Just got done. With work, I was out a little bit late, so
Cool.
thought I'd hop on.
How's the farm?
Good. I transplanted a lot of stuff today and got done just before it got dark. So
Great.
It's good.
Perfect.
It's always a skill of like estimating like how much you can actually get done as one person. So this time I hit it right on. So.
Nice. Probably working about thrice as hard as the rest of us.
This time of the year, yeah. I mean, it's definitely very April and May are kind of those like forget it months. But actually, I made it so that at the end of May, I have I'm going to a monastery in Switzerland for a week. So like nice. I have to get everything done by the last week in May, and then just forget about everything for a week. So
nice. So you're just going to casually hang out?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier.
It's a Thai forest monastery in Switzerland. And the Swedish monk that I see, Alex.
Hi, cool news, Joe.
Alex.
The Swedish monk that I like that died. That was the monastery that he was at. So just from reading his books and hearing him talk about it, I really want to go. I want to visit. And it's also when I first came to Europe, just like randomly, I went to Switzerland as the first place. Just was traveling around, and it was actually like 10 minutes from where this monastery is, where I went. So it seems like one of those sort of like, oh, I got to go there because it's a really beautiful area in the mountains in the Swiss Alps with, you know, the crystal clear water and
sounds delightful. Try and get some photos for us, hey?
Oh yeah, I'll take the camera. Yeah.
Great. Oh, that sounds amazing. Sounds delightful. What else has been going on? Anything to report?
It was interesting watching my thoughts as I was transplanting. My mind was just going like all over the place because it's something that I've done so much that like it's just autopilot, but I could really,
right.
Yeah, it was just crazy to see because it's like some thoughts that I thought like, oh, I've taken care of that. Like that's, you know, that's old news. Started coming up and, you know, just started noticing it and trying to come back to more wholesome thoughts.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Still around, still knocking about in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. You know exactly what to do with it.
Toss it out.
Toss
Not worth giving the time of day.
Beautiful. Robert, has anything progressed for you since we spoke last?
Yeah, it's been okay. Still struggling a bit with motivation. That seems to be a real big one. And then the other side of that coin is feeling bad for not having motivation. So those two kind of go together. Yeah, the guilt and lack of motivation. That's
Double
still comes up a bit, but getting a bit better. You know, sometimes I'll spend a few hours off track in a rut, but eventually I'll always like pick myself back up again and get back on the Dhamma horse and just like get myself back to feeling good again and hopefully like doing stuff as well.
Mount it.
Yeah.
Rick's always ready to make a joke of whatever issue we might be having. And it's just delightful. Can we make those kind of jokes to ourselves in moments when perhaps we're feeling low?
I do make jokes to myself, but I'm scared one time I'm gonna lull on the street.
It's a skill. It's a skill to contain it, like the giggle, the laugh attacks. Sometimes,
yeah.
And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just can't, and you just have to not care. And hopefully, you're not with someone who would be too embarrassed, you know. Or that no police are around to try to test you on the spot. But yeah, I mean, the absurdity does hit you on occasion, and you just have to like let it leave for a minute to like maintain your social composure and get back to whatever the social task was. But yeah, sometimes it's just too much. It's hilarious.
You know,
hilarious.
The Alexander Technique community, of which I'm part, lost its leader just recently, and this was a very valued teacher. He had about 25 years experience over the next most experienced teacher. So it's a real loss for the community. But one of my favorite stories that he told was of a fellow who approached him one time and said, "What would you do, Don, if right before you died, you found out that all of this Alexander Technique stuff that you teach is nonsense?" And Don said, "Well, I'd die." And then the fellow said, okay, but what if you found out that this was all nonsense and then you had a moment and then you died? And Don said, "Well, I'd laugh and then I'd die."
What is the Alexander Technique?
it's, well, I'll tell you the story of what it's been for me is the easiest way to do it. I went to see a chiropractor regarding pain in my upper back. And the chiropractor said there's nothing wrong with your spine. It's what you're doing with it that's causing you all the trouble. She said, you can come back to me every 2 weeks for the rest of your life. If you like, I'll put you right. You can go off and put yourself wrong again. I'll put you right again. And we'll play that game. Or she said, you can go and see an Alexander technique teacher and they'll teach you how to stop putting yourself wrong. So it's for anyone who's causing themselves trouble in the way that they're using their body. And the means of training oneself out of those harmful tendencies is mental discipline regarding movement. Learning to get really clear on how we're directing ourselves in movement. Learning to stop old unhelpful ways of doing things and design new and better ways of doing things. And so you can hear how that was a tasty 1-2 punch along with the Dhamma for kind of 5 years of intense training there. I was training to teach, and the two went very, very well together. And actually the community just reunited. There was a long pause for COVID because it's a hands-on discipline. The teacher uses the hands to communicate with the student. And so we hadn't done anything together for about 3 years, and we just got together with a new group of trainees who are now beginning to go through the course. And this leader of ours, Don, they actually found out that he'd passed away whilst they were on a video call for some training. He was late, and later. And so 2 of the other trainers went round to his house and found him deceased. So that was quite a shock, but it's a wonderful community. And I got to see the trainers then, his kind of senior students who he has trained to teach. They went ahead and gave a wonderful weekend workshop in his absence. So I'm very pleased to be part of that community right here in Bristol. Bring some wonderful folks in. Folks rather like us, I would say. Crazies everywhere.
Alternative, isn't it?
Sorry, Joe?
I said Bristol is quite alternative in general, right?
It is, yes. Yeah, you can find anything here. In fact, one of the strangest experiences I had in Bristol was a contact improv class. Anyone tried contact improv? This was a recommendation from this leader of the Alexander technique community. This was in the module in which we were learning to use our hands to communicate with a student, and he said there's this wacky thing called contact improv that if you get the chance to try it, you got to go try it. And yeah, wacky is the word. It kind of is what it says on the tin. It's loosely classified as a form of dance based around contact with another person or persons. So it's basically people touching each other.
Oh yeah, I've done that. They just called it contact dance, but okay. Yeah, that's super hippie shit.
Yep. I
had some dude in between my legs, like pushing up with his head. Like, I was like, all right, that's interesting feeling. I've never thought I would have experienced that as an adult.
Right.
But it's kind of fun. It makes you feel like a kid.
Yes. Yeah, it's very childlike. Yeah, certainly I probably hadn't interacted with strangers in that way since I was a kid. Kids will do it, right? Kids will fall all over each other. But yeah, I think the beginning of the class was they warmed up with just a kind of a total freestyle. and that became we were laid on the floor, myself and another dude, with our heads touching, just kind of wriggling around.
That's quite an icebreaker. That's a serious icebreaker.
Bizarre. It was bizarre. And you know, the last thing that you're going to do in that environment is sit down and hear the introduction and then say, "Nah, I'm out of here." You're in if you're in. So one embraces and has quite an experience. I didn't feel compelled to go back, but it was an experience, all right.
Yeah, I did it on this this weekend sort of like get together thing where they were building like a Native American roundhouse, and so that gathers together an interesting group of people. I mean, I'm kind of into like, you know, survivalist type things, but there were a lot of people who were there more as just this sort of all around hippie vibe thing, and so everybody was like contributing their thing, and yeah, so somebody did that. I thought it was quite enjoyable, like personally, but just because it's something so different that you're not used to experiencing. And if you're used to just not really caring that much, and you're not really that, you know, weird about touch or anything like that. It's also, I've done a lot of that, like sort of like, what is it? I don't know what it's called in English, but in Swedish it's like basically translates to like free dancing, where they play music and then everybody just sort of flails about and like does whatever. You know, and that's fun. I enjoy that actually. I think a little bit more because like there's no pressure and like you can close your eyes and literally just flail about and just like exactly right?
Yeah, I think the value in the contact improv stuff is in just how unusual it is, right? In that childlike quality. It was certainly interesting.
Yeah, with the Alexander technique, I think I pretty much do that every day with my job because like I have to, because if I don't think about my body, like right now I would be unable to move, like with the amount of physical stuff I did today, but I was thinking about things all the time. So it's like a constant. And then also just in terms of like doing things smart, where it's like every single time I need to get a tool to make something lighter, I always walk back and go and get it. I never try to like force something, because I've done it before, and then you throw out your back or something, and then it's like, you know, you're just like totally out of it. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I do, is just like constantly bending at the, you know, at the hips and trying to keep the back straight, you know, to try to keep like a hinge instead of like folding like that.
Yeah, we do so much on hips because a lot of folks just don't know where their hip joints are because no one ever fucking tells us.
Well, if you look at people from like more like indigenous like places, they naturally know how to do it. Like people who farm in like using hand tools, they naturally know how to bend over, you know, and they can bend straight at the waist and touch the ground and do that all day, you know. I can't do that. I mean, I mostly work on my knees, or like kind of like the squat pose where, you know, kind of that seems to be, I switch between those two. But
almost like we're meant to use our bodies.
Almost like we're meant to use our bodies, and almost like they're well made.
Yeah.
Rick kneels too. But it's interesting that the whole thing about indigenous people is Alexander's whole premise. Actually, he was talking about how the term that he used was primitive man. He was talking at the beginning, he was writing rather at the beginning of the 20th century. And he was talking about how primitive man just uses the body in the way that it's made. No trouble. But that in civilization, we've come to do these repetitive tasks and our environment has changed so rapidly that evolution has not been able to keep up. In the natural environment,
keep up evolution
had. Sorry, Rick.
I said, keep up evolution. Come on.
Keep up, right?
I don't
have
100,000 years.
Slacking behind. So, you know, as our environment changed in the natural world, there was hundreds of thousands of years for the body to adapt over generations. But then once agriculture, and then of course the Industrial Revolution came along, things started to change. Now, Joe, you're saying the farmers in indigenous cultures seem to be getting on okay. That's one level, right? But then you add the Industrial Revolution on top of that, and then you add computers on top of that, and you've got your typical hunched over clerk who, you know, just is riddled with tension and backache and all sorts of problems.
That's what we're gonna see, Dan. You know, in a few generations, like people just, you know, with the phone.
Yeah.
Just
There'll
completely...
be a right angle in the neck.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, this is where we're headed.
Yeah.
But they'll have really fast thumbs, maybe two.
A mixed bag once again. So Alexander's solution to this problem was that we must develop a conscious control of ourselves, that a subconscious means of directing ourselves was no longer adequate to deal with the rapidly changing environment. And this was at the beginning of the 20th century, and of course it's continued to change exponentially since then.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the 20th century, I mean, it's like 45% of the population was still like living on farms. Now it's like 1% of the population, you know. So it's quite different. And then the other thing is
1%, Joe.
The like wearing shoes is like such a it's such a weird thing that, you know, I mean, I really notice it, you know, because a lot of times I work in like not really heavy duty shoes. I just kind of have something like light so I can like feel the flex in my feet, you know, and like work those muscles that we normally don't work in our ankles. And then the other factor is just I think a lot of people's like unhappiness would be fixed. You know, traditionally we'd spend like 95% of our lives outside, 5%, 10% inside, and it's totally switched. And it's I think like it's literally statistically on average people spend 95% of their time in a controlled environment, and that's just totally, you know, like it would be a very simple fix for a lot of people, because I notice it in myself in the wintertime. I'm like itching to, you know, have this time of the year where I can be outside all day comfortably. And I think it has a huge impact on our mental health. And a lot of times when people are looking for a big solution or something to why they're so unhappy, it's like sunshine, fresh air, like get out in nature a little bit, go swimming. When's the last time you've been like swimming in a cold lake? You know, you can't be unhappy if you are in a lake. That's just physically impossible. But
the sensation is too much, right? You're brought out of that thinking mind by the immediacy of the cold water and the fresh air and the vista. I suppose if you're determined enough, you could still be thinking about the past and future, but
I don't know. The moment you jump into cold water, that's pretty much it. You know, like if it's like jump into Lake Michigan or DJ with Lake Erie over there, like I mean it's cold. You know that shit's gonna shock you. You know. And fresh. It's fresh, right? It's not just cold. It's fresh. Yeah, you just have this whoosh, like, and you can't even like talking about it is, you know, I swim all the time, like even when it's like not really weather to be swimming, and but you can't. Every time I forget what the feeling is actually like, and sometimes you have this sort of like hesitancy to do it or something, but like every time it's just like oh, this is so good. Like we're, I don't know what it is. It just has this sort of rejuvenating effect, and it's just nice. I enjoy it.
It certainly wakes up the nervous system, right? You're zinging. Very alert.
It's a lot more pleasant than like the cold shower thing too, because I know a lot of people are into that, but that strikes me kind of as the like the other side of the middle path of like beating yourself up a little bit, because I mean, I don't know, I'm like a warm shower is just nice, like that's just the reality, right? But yeah, I don't know, it's just me though. I know some people like cold showers and like the doing that Wim Hof stuff or whatever. I don't really know.
Is that could I bring something up? Is that like why I've been recently reading because the recent book, I think it's Seeing with the Dhamma, the name is Seeing with the Dhamma, and he mentions how the senses are the ABC of Dhamma. So familiarizing yourself with your senses and sensual experiences is the way into Dhamma at first, because a person who's not aware, like we can connect this to like Alexander technique, we can connect this to many things, because you build your bodily awareness first, right? And as you build your bodily awareness, you start noticing these experiences as pleasurable and unpleasurable, and then you can recognize them as wholesome or unwholesome, right? That's how I understood it. So for me, like Joe just mentioned, like cold showers. I used to be that person who's like, oh, I really have to do like a cold bath or a cold shower, as you mentioned. But now it becomes like that thing, as I'm okay with experiencing both ends of experience. As far as like, it's cold, but I'm enjoying it. It's hot, but I'm enjoying it. You can play with your senses as far as you become familiar with it. I think it's just like truly like an experience. Like you have to really build up your senses as build up your body as we stop using our bodies.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. Anyone else got anything else?
I was just thinking with that. Yeah, it seems to be that like sometimes you can enjoy a nice cold shower and that can really wake one up, but also a hot shower. So it doesn't have to be all one or the other. Yeah, being able to play with both is nice. But yeah, I've played around with cold showers, in the past. A little less when it's like freezing outside. It's a little bit, oh yeah, I'm going to take a cold shower and then head out into the free, and head off to work. But it is fun playing with the cold and playing with that sensation, and then if you see the dislike come up with it, or can you enjoy it? I mean, afterwards or even during it, there is, I think it like triggers endorphins or something, so there is like a rush of like energy and all that as well. That's quite nice. And water. Yeah, and water as well. Yeah. But yeah, being able to just chill, even if there's a little bit of, discomfort, being able to kind of work through that a little bit and being like, hey, this isn't all that bad. But I mean, part of it is the conditionings as well. So if you're used to it, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're not used to it, but that's where like kind of going back and forth might be nice. Like, one day you're taking a cold shower, the next day you're taking a hot shower. You're not getting, used to any of it, but you're getting used to the change. And that's really, I think, what it's all about, is getting used to the change, right? Because this world's just going to keep on rolling. It's just going to keep on doing its thing. The contents of one's experiences are not going to stay the same. They're in constant flux. And so like that's really the thing, is just being able to see that constant flux and being able to ride that wave. Yeah.
Love it. Beautifully put.
I was watching like the water sitting by candleside today, and there was like quite a strong wind, and I just kept paying attention to the water moving. and keep trying to pinpoint where the water is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It's like, so how am I like trying to pinpoint myself in this moment right now when nothing about me is being stable at all?
Nom 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 nom.
Is that for a potato or for fruit?
That's for fruit.
Okay.
That one's for fruit. Of course, the French call the potato the apple of the earth. And on that note, I'm going to leave you all. Right. Is that a good mic drop?
On that note,
Is that a good mic drop? The French call the
It's
potato the apple of the earth.
It's a good potato drop.
Bombs.
It's an apple drop. It's an apple drop. Yeah, good.
Great to see you all again.
That's wonderful to see you.
I'll catch you next week, guys.
See you, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dan. Thank you for the call.